Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report, powered by ANC.com. South Africa's a movie. Welcome to the watch party. 3 questions we're going to try and answer, or at least dig into, by the end of today's podcast. And yes, I'm not usually this planned, this far in advance, but there's so much I'm trying to hold in my head at once here. Has President Ramaphosa appointed actually some really good judges? And could that come back to bite Ramaphosa and his party, the ANC, in the long run? Question 2, will that ultimately cause the ANC to fall off the top spot in 2029? And question 3, if that wasn't enough, that combination of Commission of Inquiry that Ramaphosa has described and that parliamentary investigation through 3 standing committees, is that the best that he could have done? Because the president has received enormous, unremitting flack in the last few days for the decisions that he ultimately made. But no political party has said what they would have done instead that would have been better. And people like Mkhwanazi and Ndlozi have received enormous flack for standing up for the president's decision and agreeing that it was the best thing available to him. But no one has seemed to have suggested a better alternative than what they have come up with. So those are the 3 questions we're going to deal with on another absolutely bombshell show. We've also got WhatsApp line coming up. 0607-613-436 is the number. Save it in your phone, become a recorder, contribute to the show. Send us your voice notes and messages so we can have dialogue. Remember, you can watch the whole show in only one place, which is on enca.com. We post a cut down to YouTube. Click on the link in the description if you are watching now and want to catch the whole show. Also, you may have missed this on Sunday, but we have finally heeded all of your requests and launched a merch store. So you can go into www.3beaniesnetwork.com now and buy your own Settle Down Brother or 3 Beanies Network merch. Right. Before our 3 massive questions and indeed the WhatsApp line, congratulations to Banyana for hammering Mali last night and finishing top of their qualifying group, or at least the group stage in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, where we are the defending champions and we look pretty good right now to defend our title. We've got some big players injured who've not made the tournament, but in spite of that, we finished top of our group and we advanced to the knockout stages. And in a world where Banyana had to protest to get paid just a few weeks before the tournament, sponsorships have dropped off, and our dearly beloved Springbok selfie photo bomber, Gayton McKenzie, has all the time for the Springboks, but very little time for arts, culture, or indeed Banyana. We need to support them wherever we can because they are some of our greatest heroes championing South Africa on the world stage. I want to start with question 3 for the reason that it is the hottest question people are throwing back and forth in the South African public debating and conversational spheres online at the moment. Was there a better path for Ramaphosa than a commission of inquiry with 3 and 6 month requirements for interim reports, headed by a retiring judge who doesn't have any perverse incentive to try and get a promotion because he's retiring, and a largely revered and respected judge who's been on the Constitutional Court. He's been an acting Deputy Chief Justice, Madlanga, to create that commission of inquiry, get esteemed advocates involved also, and also to allow Toko Didiza as Speaker of Parliament to direct the 3 standing committees that we spoke about last week to investigate Mkhwanazi's claims concurrently. Was there a better outcome than that? Now, Ndlozi's been criticized extensively by people online for essentially saying, what else could he have done? This is the best solution and path going forward. And I have to say, as I've said on record earlier on this show, but also last week, I think that the one extra thing Ramaphosa should have done was prioritize all guns blazing, all resources poured into answering key questions about whether or not political interference from the police minister, who's now on leave for a long time, paid, and the Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection, Shadrach Sabir, have basically neutered 120 or however many active investigations, some of them with live arrest warrants in them, into political killings. Because that needs to be answered now, and that can be answered fast. You don't need 90 to 100 days to get that done. So that's one thing that I think that he should have also done as a matter of urgent priority. We shouldn't be waiting until October for that. We shouldn't be waiting for a 3-month interim report for that. It's totally unnecessary. But aside from that, You form a commission of inquiry, so judges who are on the outside, hopefully an esteemed judge who most people agree largely is impervious to influence, criticism, or being manipulated by political forces, lead a commission of inquiry that calls people to the stand. You try to make everybody, I said on the TV show last night, it's like mutually assured destruction. All the elites in the security forces, in the police forces, all have dirt on each other. And there was such silence for a long time because they were all like, well, if I say something, just like in nuclear theory of Cold War mutually assured destruction, if I say something, then people are going to say dirt on me and then we all get destroyed. But now that Mkhwanazi has said something, everyone is panicking to try and defend themselves and will go on the stand and try and defend themselves and cast stones at others. Mkhwanazi is going to get stones. Absolutely, from other people. Shadrach Sabir immediately accused him of sitting on and not pursuing investigations into whom murdered, aka like within hours of Mkhwanazi's press conference last Sunday. So you have a commission of inquiry where everybody will come and defend themselves, rat on each other, expose all kinds of things, and where you can investigate evidence. You get your interim report, the president can act on it. You get another interim report, the president can act on it. You mandate the commission of inquiry to be able to call on suspensions of people and criminal trials. That's all good. And I know a lot of people have said, but the Zondo Commission went nowhere. The Zondo Commission came up with a report that the NPA was then supposed to prosecute and pursue. That's what was supposed to happen. It's not a failing of the commission that nobody has ended up in orange overalls from the Zondo Commission's finding. It's the fault of the NPA and the Justice Department that no convictions have happened, no trials have been pursued, and no one's ending up in orange overalls. And the first inkling of that right now is the trial against Ace Makashule and Edwin Sodi. So that's kind of best case scenario, plus 3 different standing committees that are all formed by different, and all have on each committee different representatives from a variety of political parties in the government of national unity to investigate Mkhwanazi's claims. I don't know if there is a better option than that. And it was pretty extraordinary on Sunday to watch political party after political party who's not in the GNU come out and say this was the most disgraceful, worst thing that the president had ever done, and it was such a disaster. And then journalist after journalist said, what should he have done? What would you have done instead of that, were you in power? And they all said, like, in fact, the most embarrassing was spokesperson of MK and Ndlela, who said this is the worst, most shocking betrayal, the worst thing we've ever seen, so bad, so bad, so bad. And then the journalist said, well, what would MK have done if MK was in this position? And he said, we've yet to meet to discuss and decide on what we would have done. You've yet to meet on what the president should do a week after the Mkhwanazi stuff came out, when you've spent the week basically trying to capitalize on Mkhwanazi and claim him as your own? You've yet to decide what should have happened? And you go on a national media round on Sunday night saying it was the worst thing ever? Again, Mkhwantu wisizwe.
Mkhwantu wisizwe, spear of the nation.
Come on. What a joke.
I think that's true. And I think Karen said something really important last night, is that the fundamental difference between this commission and the Zondo Commission is the Zondo Commission still had to figure out the scope of the issue.
Yeah.
So they were calling other people in and then using those people to find more people and more people, more people.
That's why it took 4 years.
This, we know the scope. Mkhwanazi said who is involved. He said this, this, and this. It's very clear. So hopefully it will go quicker. There's one bit of criticism that I think is really, I really agree with on the whole Ramaphosa situation, is the fact that he doesn't take questions. I know it's not his style.
On the media, yeah.
I know he never does. But when something is as murky and as insane as this moment is, you need clarity. You need crystal clear visions. You can't come out for 12 minutes, say your little piece, which again, as we keep saying, could have been an SMS,
not even an email,
and then walk off and be like, cool, you guys deal with it.
Yeah.
We are in no one knows what has actually happened. No one knows what the scale of it. The reason why we were on tenterhooks for 6 days is because we didn't know what the scale of this thing was. Yeah. And he comes on and speaks for 12 minutes and then doesn't take any follow-up questions.
Totally.
It's insane.
And he was 35 minutes late, which, to be fair, is good for him. It means he was taking it seriously. It's usually longer. And then he announced that Feroz Kachalia would be the interim stand-in Minister of Police. And then the Sowetan reported this morning that Feroz Kachalia and Ramaphosa only had a phone call conversation about this an hour before his address. So he was probably late because he was trying to talk to Feroz Kachalia. Okay, let's talk about question 1 that I put in the intro. Has Ramaphosa made a cataclysmic, catastrophic error by picking Judge Madlanga to head this commission? Because by most reports and consensus from most people within the judiciary, Madlanga is an upstanding, honorable member of the judiciary who has a long track record of acting without fear or favor. And it reminds me explicitly of when Zuma made Thuli Madonsela police protector. Sorry, public protector. Zuma would never have appointed Madonsela if he had known how much trouble she would cause him and how bravely she would call him out, investigate him, and put evidence on the table to show of his wrongdoing. I posed this question to Karen Moore last night. She is one of the preeminent legal journalists in the country, an esteemed author, and has been covering the justice system, the police, all of these for years. And she took a second and she said, yeah, I think that's a very good question that I hadn't thought of before. But she said, maybe they just panicked and rushed it. They needed someone retiring or retired to head up this commission who most South Africans, or at least the in-the-know South Africans who know about the justice system and know, have followed the work of Madlanga from the media, who would go, cool, that's a fair decision. Not to add extra scrutiny to, or like give any credence or airtime or fuel to a fire that would go something like, oh, he's picked a malleable judge who's on his side, who will do his bidding and compromise the investigation. And maybe they just panicked and rushed the decision to make Madlanga the head of the commission, and the two advocates are also esteemed, good advocates with a good track record. But it could come back to bite him, and it links to the final question that we're going to talk about today, which was actually question 2 in my intro. Because if this commission does act without fear or favor and does really pursue all of these allegations, even if some of the allegations from Mkhwanazi are shown to be false or refuted or lacking in evidence, this is going to be unbelievably damaging for the African National Congress. It can't even be outsourced to, those were the 9 wasted years, those were the Zuma years. The allegations are about Senzo Mchunu, a Ramaphosa ally who he made police minister and has always put at the center of a lot of his decision-making. A man who switched from Zuma to Ramaphosa, and that was a key reason why Ramaphosa was able to defeat Zuma and become president of the ANC and in the country. It's Senzo Mchunu. It is police commissioners appointed, deputy national commissioners appointed, provincial commissioners appointed within Rama Zuma. There's so many things to follow here. Ramaphosa's reign in office. When Mkhwanazi comes to speak, if he is brave enough or backed enough to say which magistrate in which court is on which payroll of which dodgy politician from which party in what position in parliament on behalf of which criminal syndicate and which drug cartel, those are ANC-led governments, even the GNU, but there'll be stuff from before the GNU, from just the pure ANC majority government from Ramaphosa's first full term after he got elected by the people, not the ANC. It's all going to come back to bite the African National Congress and make them look even worse and drop their stock even more than before. And I wonder if, similar to Madonsela with Zuma, Ramaphosa may have made a catastrophic error in who he selected to head up this commission.
I think this is even more of a crisis than just that, because previously ANC was able to say, not only is that Zuma, but I am Ramaphosa, and there was Ramaphoria, and it's like, finally, there's a guy in the ANC
who's clean,
who can straighten them all out.
Forget
It'll be fine.
Pala.
What was that, 2018 when that happened?
Ramaphoria?
Yeah.
2018-19.
7 years.
Yeah.
So even if you believe that Ramaphosa could have fixed the ANC, he has had 7 years, also most of that time as having a majority in parliament. He could have done all this stuff and he didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that undercutting of the Ramaphosa pitch is such a disaster, because I don't think anyone besides maybe Fikile Mbalula in the ANC can be looked at as having a good public record, like in terms of popularity. And
sure, although we don't know how popular Fikile really is. He's just loud on Twitter.
But okay, but then that even more proves the point. If Ramaphosa, who's this like major selling point for the ANC, can't fix the ANC, surely that then breaks through to people that's the final straw.
Well, then it's just like the ANC is a criminal organization. Ramaphosa's people just got rid of Zuma's people because they rivaled them and wanted those positions of power, but it's much the same. And now we have a commission of inquiry that may air all of that out explicitly on the back of the budget VAT increase disaster the ANC had earlier this year, on the back of the fact that Ramaphosa can't run again We're going to need a new ANC, at least nominee for president, if not ANC president itself. And it probably will be a new ANC president, considering how it's always happened before, who then will try and run to become president of the country. That leads to our final question. And Karen Moore made this argument on the TV show last night. She was actually very bold. She said, mark my words. She said, mark my words, this will be the death of the ANC. And I don't think that she meant that the ANC will fold and no longer exist. I think she was talking about this will be, it's not the straw that breaks the camel's back. This is a log. This is a log that's fallen off a truck. Final Destination. Is it Final Destination, the movie? Final Destination style, breaking this poor camel's back. The camel is South Africa, not the African. I'm not feeling bad for the African National Congress. But like all of this together, plus the fact that Ramaphosa can't run again, and the fact that Ramaphosa is still the most popular and popularly electable leader and party of anyone in the country. He's been holding the ANC up. The ANC got 39-40 last time because of Ramaphosa. It would have been lower without him. And it can't be him again. And there are no clear successors. The successors who might be like Mashatile and Fikile Mbalula are not explicitly popular. Mashatile has got serious corruption allegations hanging over, and allegations of and suspicions of criminality hanging over his head. Fikile Mbalula has no active constituency. It's not like there are a bunch of branches around the country that have always battled for him, and that's how he got there. He just read the room very well, and so continually got into the big positions in the African National Congress because he's picked the right horse at all times. He always seems to know who to pick to win. But this, on top of all of that, may finally drag the ANC down to not getting the most votes of any party in 2029. Now, we are miles away from 2029. It is so dangerous to project about the results of an election, even months before the election happens, unless you are a data pollster like Wayne Sussman, who actually did just the most phenomenal data polling before the last election and got everything right, pretty much. But unless you're Wayne Sussman and the Mark data poll just a few months before the election, it is so dangerous to say what's going to happen. It's too much time, too many things can happen. But this could finally be the log, the pile of logs falling off the back of the truck to break the camel's back and drive the ANC below. And I know this is a controversial thing to say, and I'm going to explain myself, but below the DA.